Hello everyone, it is I, the Unabridged Gamer, and I'm invading Hoguru's channel to give you all the hottest revelations about the dark pictures, The Devil in Me. Which isn't to say I'm a deranged killer who's taken over the channel, I'm just too crazy to be contained by one channel. So, Eurogamer posted an early preview of The Devil in Me, and one paragraph was especially interesting, noting that the map was bigger than ever before and the game would be longer than ever seen before. The developers have gone out of their way to fill it with additional collectibles. So in addition to 50 plot-based items, there's a new thing to be on the lookout for. Quoting the article here, he described one of the new additions to me, collectible coins called obols, that unlock items that you can view when collected. Heaton also teased these might have a greater meaning to the series as a whole, mentioning that the Curator is keen on collecting them. On one level, the purpose of these is patently obvious. The developers have decided to unlock concept art and possibly a model viewer based on the player searching out bonus coins rather than attaching it to how much of the plot they've uncovered, which is how it's worked in the past. The nature of these coins and the Curator's interest in them, though, are really interesting, because of all things they could have called them, they went with obols. If that's a term unfamiliar to you, drop by Wikipedia for an interesting history of how the term originally started as a description of metal bars used as currency. More relevant here is the Athenian obol, a silver coin which is currently most famous for its association with Charon, the ferryman who carries people across the river Styx in Greek mythology. Basically, he will put a silver coin in the mouth of a body before burial so the dead person will be able to pay Charon when they get to the underworld. Charon's obol has even appeared as an item in video games such as Hades and Rogue Legacy. Last year, Hoguru put out a video theorizing that the Curator was really Charon, suggesting that his nautical theme, the fact he's a soul collector, and the appearance of the term ferryman on the bus in Little Hope once the hallucination begins, all combine to point solidly in that direction. Now that he's even looking for obols, something that is popularly associated with the character? Is this the final nail in the coffin? Is Hoguru right? And the Curator is definitely Charon? Maybe, but perhaps it's even more complicated than that. You see, there's a few other things that don't quite fit that interpretation. He refers to himself as the Curator of stories, he travels the world to document the tales that make up the Dark Pictures anthology, and he can transform into a raven. This points us in another direction, specifically the Norse mythological figures Hunin and Munin, the ravens who fly all over the world, finding out what's going on and then bringing that information back to Odin so he'll be well informed. And let's not overlook the skull that's revealed when lightning flashes next to his face. The idea of a skull-headed soul collector is most closely associated with the popular character, the Grim Reaper. In this case, his long coat and hat would be filling in for a hooded cloak. This ties into the Christian idea of Angel of Death, which could justify him living in the Vatican, as has been established. The Curator draws influences from all three of these figures, but one thing they all have in common is that they have a boss. Charon is functionally in Hades' domain, Hunin and Munin work for Odin, and the Grim Reaper works for the Christian god. So what does this all add up to? Perhaps something interesting about the cosmology of the Dark Pictures universe? What if the developers are suggesting that the Curator isn't just Charon or the Grim Reaper or Hunin, but rather all of them? That he's a figure outside of time and space that humans throughout history have had brief encounters with, and the figures mentioned are the mythologies they've created to explain these encounters. Is the Curator the soul collector that all the others are based on in one way or another? And if so, then who is the boss that he reports to? And if the Hunin and Munin connection holds, does that mean there's a second Curator of some kind running around? One that might slip into his job if he continues ticking off his employer as he has been all the way through season 1 of the Dark Pictures. Suffice to say, this news has made the prospect of big revelations in The Devil in Me all the more exciting. That's all for now. Be sure to subscribe here to catch my latest coverage of The Devil in Me, and check out my channel in the description below for all sorts of weird, wild, and sometimes even unreleased games. I'm the Unabridged Gamer, signing off. Cheers!